I thought you said you're hosting. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the KindaFunny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Do you see what I deal with here, Roger?
Yeah.
See what I deal with
That was great. Come on now. Right
great.
before Nick panicked, and I was like, no, I'm on. And I fucking got
Just
it.
double check. Just double checking.
Just gonna double check?
Because sometimes things get shifted around. And honestly, I'm one of those people. I'm a creature of habit.
Yeah.
When Greg's sitting to my left, I know he's hosting. That's my safe place.
Sure.
He's not sitting to my left anymore. He's sitting to my far left. Joining us today is Tam. He's sitting to my left. And I was like, is Tam hosting?
I am not hosting.
Well, there you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, sitting to his left, my right, it's the man, the myth, the legend from Gamespot and Giant Bomb, Timur Hussein. Hello, Timur.
Hello, everyone.
How are you?
Hello. I'm good. Oh,
How can you possibly be here? Didn't you guys just announce like 19 new shows for GameSpot?
that is exactly what we did. And that is exactly why I'm here. I'm here to shill squad the shit out of our new shows. Yeah.
Giving
So
you 60 seconds.
60 seconds. Brand new shows, personality led. Each one is a extension or a emphasis on a person's personality.
Okay.
So on Monday we got The Law You Know, which is all
You don't
about
have to
the
go
law
this
of games. I was gonna go for the 60s. So like, yeah. So we were just like, let's put together a slate of shows that we want to make and we want to see, and that are like extensions of us and things that we would enjoy watching. So
Gotcha.
we put together like this initial slate of shows, one per day. Each one.
Which one's yours?
So Friday is our one. So Law You Know is like a thing that, kind of gives you the lowdown on a series or
Love it.
a breakdown. Like Lucy did Zelda the other day. She loves Zelda. Did you know that?
No.
Good. You should
Lucy's
text-
one of these types, Rod. She just loves everything.
Yeah.
So when you love everything,
What
do
doesn't
you
she
love
love?
anything? Exactly.
That's true.
Tuesday is Kurt Locker, which is done by Kurt Indovina.
Great name.
It's a good
Great
name.
name.
It's a good name. What came first, the show or the name? Who can say?
What's so weird about that? As I looked at it, I was like, why are they riffing off of Kurt Loder?
God damn it.
Yeah. You're welcome for that.
Yeah, Kurt has got a very kinetic style of editing and writing and presenting, and we're kind of like he's taking the reins of his own show and he's just doing things talking about things that interest him in his own style.
He did that great Vita video.
Yeah.
Really loved that. He does
Yeah.
a lot of great essays.
He does a good that kind of stuff. Yeah. So today's one was all about remakes and where they fit into the world. And yeah, it's really cool. No HUD is a show that Jean-Luc is doing with a bunch of others as well. And it's basically taking the games that you have and kind of figuring out new ways to play them
Oh.
and trying to get more out of it. Or,
fun.
sometimes you get a game where it's like, this game's not great, but if you play it in this way, it's actually pretty good.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like focusing on that and then trying to give new life to games that already exist. Expert Reacts is just, you find someone who's got a specialist subject matter and have them talk about it in the context of video games.
Yeah.
Spot On is the show that myself and Lucy are doing, which is going to be a weekly news show. The idea of it is to like not regurgitate news, because I think by the time Friday,
We do that.
everyone does.
We do that every day.
Yeah.
on
We get
Games
an
Day,
AI
I think.
bot.
They're special.
We got a Jeff Grubb doing that for us as well. And yeah, the idea is like by the time Friday comes, average person is going to have heard the news of that week multiple times.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like a little more of a let's take the big story of the week and do more of a discussion around it or like a take around it. So that's me and Lucy kind of leaning on our experience and our like history together to doing that. And then Firearm Experts Reacts is like really popular, where they just take weapons from games and like get someone who knows a lot about weapons and talk about how it's accurate, not accurate,
Okay.
kind of stuff. It's really fun.
Love
And
it.
then finally, How It's Saved is kind of Dave Klein is making that, and it's the story of how a game pulled either a company, a franchise, a person back from the precipice of failure. Or
That's kind of cool.
yeah, it's really
I like
cool
that.
because that happens a lot. So this
Hell
is
yeah.
kind
Happens
of
a lot in
like
movies,
that story.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's really cool.
So there's a lot of interesting stories there, and yeah, we're hoping that people enjoy it and come check it out.
That's awesome.
Greg, it's like when Quentin Tarantino helped save John Travolta's career, and then we were subject to another 30 years of John Travolta.
We had some good stuff there, though.
Name one good John Travolta.
Remember the Olivia Newton-John Christmas song he did? That was great.
It's a great movie.
There.
Here comes my home.
Was that pre or post Face Off?
So good to get my wheel.
That was like
down.
a year ago, wasn't it?
What?
That one you're talking about?
No, Lucy showed that to me and Jen, and it was old by then.
Was
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
I feel like he just did something. Maybe it was that commercial he did with the guys from Scrubs. for no reason.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
We were like,
Wow.
wow,
That's a
this
wild
seems
commercial.
weird. This doesn't work.
What about
Face Off came after.
All right, face off.
Yeah,
the
Face Off.
taking
He had a
of
lot of
Pelham
good-
1, 2,
yeah,
3?
yeah,
Come on.
Yeah,
That's a New York movie
No,
right
Broken
there.
Arrow.
Broken
Sure.
Arrow.
Yeah.
Not a good movie.
Good stuff right there.
John Travolta, man, what a weirdo.
Good tea.
Yeah. It flies a plane.
He
I
does
would-
fly a plane.
I would if John Travolta was the pilot of your plane, would you get on it?
No.
No shot.
Did you
No,
go see him
and
when he came and talked at Gamespot?
I did come and see him. Yeah, I went to see him in the
Wait, what did he say?
Wait,
Games-
what?
He was so it was like we were in the CBSI office. So he was there to promote a movie. He was on the cover of CNET magazine, and they have this we had this auditorium.
It was
where,
that Devin Sawa film he
Yeah.
was in.
Oh.
Or maybe probably, it was the John Travolta film Devin Sawa.
Yeah, I know
yeah,
exactly.
so like
the
they
one.
would bring in celebrities and
Yeah.
and do an interview with them, and people could come and like watch like it's some sort of TED talk, and he had nothing interesting to say. Like, he was like, I'm trying to make some money and I'm getting out of there.
Yeah,
After
made a
that-
movie, and here I am to talk to you guys
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it.
that's it.
there's
That's
some
pretty
stuff
it.
happening.
Wasn't that directed by Fred Durst or something like that?
Yeah,
That
that's right.
sounds
that's
right.
right.
Awesome,
That's
dude.
right.
Yeah, the
That's right.
Durst.
That's the one.
Awesome.
Chocolate's covered.
Yeah. I miss him. What's he up to? Remember that one
Fred
time where
Durst?
we went to TwitchCon and he was at TwitchCon?
Isn't
I do
he?
not remember that.
That was SF's TwitchCon. The same one
Yeah.
where we met Snowbike Mike.
That's true.
Maybe if
That's
we didn't
weird.
waste our time meeting Snowbike
Remember,
Mike,
yeah,
we would have
exactly.
met.
Remember when he
Fred
just kept following us home? We're like, fine, you can have a job.
Durst. Yeah, I vaguely
That was
remember that.
great.
Yeah, follow us
Man.
around the country. Went
Yeah.
to E3 with a kind of funny Mike. We're like, you don't actually work here. Why are you doing this?
He was like, I'm
Like,
here.
live the dream, homie. I was like, all right, whatever that
Living
means.
the dream,
And
homicide.
rounding out the quartet is none other than Who Framed Roger Perconi. Hello, Raj. How are you?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Let's start at the top of the order of business.
shit.
There's two people who need to get not reamed, but taken to school.
Sure.
There's Fred Durst right there. Number one is
Oh, he's old.
Roger Picorni.
He's
Hi.
like grandpa.
Roger, and I guess actually, Roger, shut up. Nick,
Sure.
do you feel Roger's allowed to look this good at work? Because Roger looks like he owns the company.
Look,
Roger, if you're an audio listener, he's got that just right. His beard is matching his hair length, which I love.
Mhm.
He's got these clear, cool glasses on. He's got a blazer on, a cool shirt. He's got really cool shoes. He's got dress socks and
Yeah.
dark jeans on.
I feel like if you came to me and said that you were launching a new social network,
Yep.
I would
Yep.
100% believe.
Yep.
Well, guess
You know-
what, guys? I'm here to announce.
what's it called, Raj?
kind of funny too?
Oh, wow.
yeah.
I was gonna go with New York's finest.
Is it
nope.
TOO?
T.O.
TOO?
Oh, like also?
Yeah,
Also
kind of funny
as
too.
No,
No.
just
Yeah,
the number.
Just
Just
the
the
number
number
two.
two.
Just the
Number
number.
two.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm gonna say. Yeah, maybe it was last week or the week prior that you came back from New York, right? I went a little hard on Raj last week on the podcast, so I'm gonna say, Raj, you're looking good.
Thank
You
you.
do have the air of a video game developer
Yep.
that their
gonna
game
steal
last
money.
year was just huge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And now it's E3, and now they've come out to like talk about
Sure.
other people's. They're like, you're big. We want to push all the other Xbox games. You're gonna be the Todd Howard basically of
Sure.
of
He's-
E3.
He's not Neil Druckmann,
Mm.
Last of Us on PS3. He's Neil Druckmann, Last of Us on HBO.
yes.
Got it.
So he's sort of hit the apex, right? He's crested.
Mm.
Right.
And he walks out, and someone goes, no. We gotta value in. You can't be walking out in your street clothes. We got to put you in the cool blazer. We got to put you in the new shoes. We got to get you dialed in with the jeans that look like you haven't been wearing them since you graduated college back in 1996.
Yeah.
He's looking fresh.
I
And then all the other game devs look at him and go, I gotta style. I gotta get my shit done. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
the air that I'm trying to cultivate. You know what I
It
mean?
worked, man.
Like,
Even
I-
the way
I-
you're sitting right now is too cool for school.
Listen, I'm never on the Kind of Funny podcast. I got to show up. It's like when Kevin used to wear suits on podcasts.
Sure.
And you used to do it too with Kind of Funny Games Daily, right?
Sure, but I did it for a different reason. You know?
Oh, just what was
Kevin
the reason?
Well, I mean, that's just what I wanted to say.
Oh, okay.
Kevin felt like he had to like overcompensate. Like,
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? Like,
And I feel like that's kind of where I'm at too. You know what I mean? I want to show up a little bit, and I got this amazing shirt, and you can't really see it too much, but I got this at a thrift shop,
Yeah.
thrift store, and it says 2 Chainz virtual reality.
Yeah.
And it's fucking incredible because I love it because it's like this like Memphis rap type deal homage. But I've been looking up this shirt and I have not been able to find it anywhere. Like I think this is maybe a one of one,
Wow.
and I love it.
Wow.
I
Maybe,
love it
yeah.
so much.
Yeah. It's definitely like when someone doesn't win the Super Bowl, but they already have the shirts printed, so they just like ship them to other places. Kind of like that. Where 2 Chainz is gonna come out real hard with the virtual reality thing, and it just never manifests.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
wow,
And it has like on the back it says like TCG. Have not been able to figure out what those acronyms mean.
TCG,
The Cool
2
Gang.
Chainz,
The cool
2 Chainz Gang.
gang. Yeah,
fuck might be
The card game.
2 Chainz, the card game.
God, I wish this was a canceled virtual reality 2 Chainz card game.
It reminds me, the other day I saw this screenshot of a Twitter exchange go through the old meme factory that I follow. TikTok, you might have heard of it. And it was, Nick, I'm going to need your help here. The comedian Fluffy.
Gabriel
Iglesias.
Right. He has a joke about Portillo's chocolate cake, I've heard. That's very great. I'm glad. He's at WWE stuff a lot. I appreciate that. However, this was someone tweeted a photo of him. Tweeted a photo to him that was his action figure sign. And like, is this really your signature? And he goes, yeah. Only made 1,000 of those. Humbling. they were at a Goodwill. They were at a Goodwill where they were like for 99 cents. Here's this signed Fluffy doll.
Well, Fluffy's okay. He sold out Dodger Stadium. So for his
Just saying.
Did he
Saying
still
what-
be all
saying
right?
what I
Oh
saw on
my
these.
God,
He was the first comic ever to do that. I could be wrong about that, but he was one of the few comics to ever sell at Dodger
Wow.
Stadium, which is wild.
Now, the next thing goes like this in terms of somebody who needs to get taken to school.
Yeah.
And if you're a Kind of Funny podcast fan, you listen or watch, you're used to this. I'm ashamed that we have to do it once again.
Yep.
And this person's name is Cody Hagler. Of course, Cody Hagler's Instagram is still private, so I can't creep on it.
Mhm.
But as we were about to go live, we of course have the live chat over here, patreon.com/kindoffunny. We can see you if you want to go there, you get the show ad free. You can be watching live as you record it before we have to edit out any of the things I say, maybe about cancer, right, Rod?
I don't think it's less of an editing out. It's more of like
Not
not
bringing attention
sharing
to
it
it.
on the brand.
Anyways, though, for Cody Hagler, the issue today isn't his private Instagram, which still sucks. It's the fact that he said, I was just in San Francisco 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Which is, and I was like, that's not normal, right? He's not one of these NorCal kids. So, of course, I go to the much cooler Melissa Hagler's Instagram that is public, so I can keep tabs on Cody Hagler. And yeah, they're in Monroe, Georgia. So I don't understand why Cody's in San Francisco. You know what I mean? I feel like,
What's going on?
what the hell?
Separation. It's crazy. They're separate places.
Well, no,
What
I
was
don't mean
that?
that. I mean, like, I don't think they separated. I think they're still having a baby in October.
Oh,
They
that's
seem
not what
very
I
happy.
meant. Oh, yeah. They're in different places.
Roger,
Okay,
I
listen.
understand you want to move in on the Haglers.
I'm just trying to understand this dynamic, okay? I don't know
I'm
what
just
you're
saying
getting at.
it's weird that Cody says that he's in San Francisco and wouldn't tell us because we live in San
Oh.
Francisco. We work in San Francisco. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I feel like the Haglers as trogs, I feel like they would share that information that one of them was going to be here.
Mm.
Because I think Melissa is still. Melissa, are you still in Georgia?
No,
What
that's
is-
what she said we're in Tahoe. We're in
We're
Tahoe
working
until
in
June.
Tahoe.
Till June.
Cody
So
says
it's
we were
possible
working in Tahoe and I had to drop some stuff off for our guys at SFO. Damn, man. Hagler, yeah, we're working in South Lake Tahoe until June. Mike has been giving us things to do. Huh. I'm glad that Mike gets all this information, not Greg, the guy who actually stalks him on Instagram.
Well, did
You know?
you hit the follow button so they get the notification that you
No,
can follow them
I
on
don't
Instagram?
follow. I'm not
Okay.
going to follow back.
You would never
Yeah,
do
The
that.
last thing I need is fucking Melissa Hagler sending me messages.
That's the important thing because it's important to keep the power dynamic where it is.
Yeah.
You give Melissa too much power, and then she suddenly starts asking, and then she's our boss, and then it's like, all right,
This is the
who's
thing.
the boss of whom here?
This is how it works around here. You know, you give
Mm.
a piece of cheese to these mice. You know what I mean? And really, in reality, mice is being too kind to the trogs.
some
Or
of it
any
really
of our
is.
fans. They're ants to us, Roger.
Yeah,
All right?
I love, Greg
Roger, you
looks
said
at,
it
Greg
before-
looks at me and he
Yes.
just knows
Yes.
what makes me uncomfortable.
Fucking yes.
And he pushes and he fucking pushes.
I'm just saying, before we went on air, Roger, you said it the best. Like, they
Yep.
don't matter to us.
Yep, that's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said. New York's finest over here.
Roger, and I quote said, "How many of them do you think I could kill before anyone?"
Before I
started
got
to give a
before,
shit?
yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Roger, let
Yeah?
me tell you, they would take it as a compliment. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Getting killed by Roger
Yeah.
McCorney.
Remember that one time in Kansas
Gives
City
you
when I
purpose in
tombstone
life.
pile drive that kid? His dad loved it. You know what I mean? Kid
His
scarred
dad
for
did
life.
love it.
Kid scarred for life. I don't
Kid
think it's
can't
happened.
get
Dad
near
is
a
loving
light
it,
or
though.
a stage or a microphone without pissing himself. But
How much do you miss the insanity of live panel podcasts, Nick?
I miss it a lot, actually. That was something I've been thinking about because we're heading sort of into the event season, and
Yeah.
RTX is coming up. We got the Comic-Con coming up.
Comic-Con.
E3, unfortunately, RIP is no longer. But I'm hopeful that we'll get back out there at some point as the world accepts us again. I hope we get that. I hope that becomes a norm again, where we go from missing that to going basically like, oh God, we got to go to this thing again this weekend. We've been gone for 5 weeks in a row.
Sure. There it is. There's
There
the
it is.
tombstone pile drive on
I
the
like how
boy.
skinny I was back then.
Are you down to
Poor
run it?
kid.
And like my favorite part there is how he tries to get up and get away from it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like he doesn't understand how to sell the tombstone pile driver. And that's the thing, Raj. If you're gonna step in the ring with me and I'm gonna give you a finisher, you're gonna sell it. All right?
Yeah.
And am I gonna umaga you like they did the Jackass guys? No.
No.
But you're gonna stay down.
What's an umaga?
I just let him go. You know what I mean?
Okay, because Tam sort of went like, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. Remember this?
I was just nodding along.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah,
Greg has that
he
effect
wants
on
the
people. He kind of
insanity
just,
stuff.
yeah.
So the story goes that WWE, when they're not the most recent Jackass stuff, but before that, right? Chris Pontius, I think it was, but definitely Steve-O, were at a Raw or whatever it was. And Barrett, I know you're good at the B-roll. This you can Google all this as you go, right? And they were supposed to come in and get just like thrown around by Umaga, and probably Umaga, I think it was maybe. And the problem was that no one really briefed them on anything. So they were getting smashed. They got slammed down, and then Steve was like reacting and trying to get back up. And Umaga's like, no, and just then really started beating the shit out of him. And like just had to do that until the bit ended because they were like,
Oh my God.
you have to stay down. I digress.
Seems like someone missed a note there somewhere.
yeah.
Tell the other person.
Vince McMahon apparently was very happy when they came backstage. He said it was a great bit, even though Steve-O was all
Steve-O,
fucked up.
meanwhile,
Steve-O was
is
all
very-
fucked up. Yeah, Steve-O's
paralyzed.
version of it's great about
Yeah, well,
it.
Steve was taking a lot of punishment. Here we
Oh,
go.
Jesus.
Wow, that,
See, like, yeah.
that seemed like it really.
And he's like screaming and talking and then rolling and like, no, just play dead. Play dead, right? And then, like he's like, no,
Oh
I'm
my
gonna beat the
God.
shit out of you. We should probably cut this off. Yeah, WWE's very copyright friendly.
Yeah,
we found out.
Yeah.
They own us now.
Yeah. Well, how many of our goddamn streams they have to screw up
Oh,
because I
yeah.
showed John Cena? You know,
Come on, guys.
sucks.
I wish you had like a contact there where you could just like text him like, we did it
Whitelisted.
again.
Dude, I've had
And they
my
just
this is awesome
please.
promo videos they send. Like, can you post this? I'm like, yeah, no problem. It gets taken down. I'm like, all right, well, what do you want me to do about it, man?
I get it though. They're popular. We get it. You
I
know,
digress.
want to watch your stuff.
If you didn't know, this is the Kind of Funny podcast. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather around this table, each coming to hang out and talk with each other about whatever it is they want to talk about. If you want to talk with us, of course, you can be live in the chat just like those hagglers are, wherever they are in the world. You can go to patreon.com/kindafunny, where you can watch us record the show live. You could get it ad-free. You could get a bevy of bonus shows. You could watch this recorded every other podcast that isn't embargoed for some kind of weird video game review. I digress. If you have no bucks to toss our way on patreon.com/kindafunny, it's no big deal. Of course, you can watch for free on youtube.com/kindafunny and podcast services around the globe. On top of that, you can write in for free at kindafunny.com/kfpodcast. Housekeeping for you. I'm pretty sure you wrote this, Nick, and I don't know if you saw it. It broke me during Games Daily because it's that funny.
Did it? Okay.
Come celebrate May the 4th with us as the team plays through Jedi Survivor. We have all sorts of fun surprises for you, including Andy Wan Kenobi teaches Nick the Force, and where in the world is Kev2D2? Want to hear Mike Baca, the truckie, do his patented Tahoe scream? Tune in to twitch.tv/kindafunnygames this Thursday at 11:30 a.m. right after Kinda Funny
It's gonna
Games
be
Daily.
fun. It's gonna be a fun one, everyone.
I can't wait.
Looking forward to it.
Well,
And I have it on good authority that we don't know if his flight's gonna get delayed, but it's possible that Watto might make an appearance.
Wow.
It's possible.
He's got those little wings. It just
He
takes
has
him a
little
long time
tiny
to
wings.
fly
Yeah,
places.
yeah, yeah. Gotta get all the way
He's
from
trying to
Europe.
get here, I hear. That should be a lot of fun. I just did the Q&A for April. We're late, we know, but it's up on Patreon soon with Kevin, and he was hinting that it's going to be a good one. That
It's
there's
gonna
lot
be
of good
fun. We got a
stuff.
lot of fun bits.
Very
for
excited about
everyone.
that. Speaking of fun things, right now, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 spoiler-free review is up on the Kinda Funny screencast feed. I listened to it myself because I didn't get to go watch it yet, but I wanted a heads up. Joey, Tim, and Andrew Goldfarb give quite the spoiler-free review. I appreciated it.
Tell you what, we get to see Goldfarb every once in a while. Just a
I
delight.
see that dude like 3
You
times
see him
a
all the
week.
time. Yeah, you're hanging out nonstop with him.
Yeah.
I see him once every time we have to see a movie. He gets invited. We get him in, and he comes and he says hello. And then I go, "Do you need a ride home?" And he's like, "No, I'm fine." And then he just walks off into the
Into the
darkness.
darkness.
He lives right near.
Yeah, he
nearby.
does.
Like,
He really
it's like
does.
5 minutes away.
He's like,
On
"I'm
top
fine."
of that, don't forget Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is out this weekend. Your In Review, the MCU In Review, will post on Monday, where we will rank it, and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, because I watched that the other day.
Jesus Christ.
And let me tell you, it's not often that I'm so angry
Yeah.
that I then make sure I come in and expense the movie.
Yeah,
Here's the receipt, Nick. I had to pay $20 to watch this thing for you.
I will say it was surprising because Greg and I, you know, like I buy a lot of movies. I rent a lot of movies for the company, but I'll just be like, oh, I'll just buy myself lunch or something later down the road. Greg made it a point to be like, I want my fucking money back for this movie that I had to buy. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a good one when we talk about it.
It sadly won't. It'll just be like Eternals, where I was like, why?
Yeah.
Shazam.
Thank you to our Patreon producers, Nathan Lamoth, James Hastings, and Casey Andrew. Today, we're brought to you by Rocket Money and Honey, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, Tam, Cozy Bear writes in for free at kindafunny.com/KF podcast and says, Do you think you would have been friends with your parents if you had been in high school with them, a la Back to the Future?
Do I think it would? No, I don't think so.
Yeah?
No.
Why not?
I think like first of all, my mom went to school in Pakistan, so I don't think, and Pakistan is very traditionalist.
Okay.
So I don't imagine I would be in a class or left to my devices to make friends with a woman.
Sure.
Yeah, because they're wild over there. They're
Yeah.
wilding out over there. But also like my mom's so shy that I don't think she would have made like friends with randos.
Okay.
I think my dad, he went to school here. I don't think I would make friends with him as well because he seemed like he was up to no good.
Oh, troublemaker.
Yeah, school. I get that vibe off my dad, troublemaker, and I think I would be like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to get caught up in whatever you're doing.
Okay.
My parents are boring.
Nick, you, Lou, and Elena, you hanging out?
You know, maybe because my dad was into music back then, and I feel like I was in marching band, so I think that we may have had some crossover there. And we were both kind of dorks in high school, so I feel like that would have been probably a good thing. My mom and I probably not. I mean, you're talking, what did they go to high school like? Geez, they're 74, so when would that have been, like the
They were born in 74?
60s?
Oh, okay. Oh, they are 74.
They
I
are
don't know how old
74,
they are.
yeah,
My
so-
apologies. Yeah, 60s. 70s.
I don't know if there would have been too much crossover between like interests, but if my dad was out there, my dad loved like rock and roll bands and stuff like that, and that was always pretty cool. I'd like to believe that if I grew up in the 60s, I would have learned how to play a slightly cooler instrument, the trumpet,
Yeah.
maybe like a guitar or a piano. So I think that could have been cool. Yeah, it would be so interesting to see your parent back then,
100%.
and just like that's part of obviously the fun of Back to the Future is it brings up that question of like if you got to see your parents at that age, at that weird high school age where they're trying to figure life out, and you got to see them as a contemporary, what would that be like? And I'm fascinated by that. But I just have a feeling my dad would just be sitting in the garage with his old man like fixing brakes.
Yeah.
And if it's that, I'd be like this. Nope, get me back out.
Yeah.
Get me out of this. Put me back in the fucking DeLorean because I'm not trying to do any sort of mechanical shit right now. That was back when they were like men's men.
Yeah.
It was like put the car up on a
cigarettes
block.
out on their arm. Nobody
You-
cries.
Yeah, just, there's always one hanging out of the mouth while
Yeah.
they're doing like flammable
Welding.
shit in front of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always fun. But I would actually, that is the one thing is I would love to go back during that era and know my grandfather. 'Cause I never knew
Dude.
any of my grandfathers.
See, so you just don't even know them.
I don't know them at all. Like but two of them, one of them died a little bit after, but he was in Italy. I have three because my mom was adopted. I met him once that I can remember, that I was of age to remember. And then my grandpa Rinaldi died before, and then my grandpa Scarpino died like the year I was born. So there's
wow.
shots of him holding me, and he looks like me. So that's the
Oh.
trippiest thing is when I look at pictures, I'm like, that's what I'm gonna look like when I'm
Wow.
like 60.
I was gonna say
Bald,
yeah.
badass, super tan.
Sure.
So he's one of the guys that I wish I could have pulled aside and had like a beer with.
See, that's my thing about it too. Where for me, with number one crane operator Greg Miller and big old Jamie Kennedy, we wouldn't have been like enemies or whatever, right? But my mom and still is big into horses. Like she rides now, and she was riding back then, and like she was like made enough money at her after school job to buy a horse back then. You know what I mean? So it's like. She was motivated by that in a way that I'm like, I don't want to go fucking see the. It was just today where I'm like, I don't want to go see the horse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then my dad, it was the working on cars, riding a motorcycle, like that kind of thing. Dad would have. I could see me in a lot of ways, like some of my antler friends and some of the ones I'm still super close to, right, are like good old country boys, where it's like we don't have much in common besides we went to Mizzou and the antlerness, but it's like they're good people and I'd love to hang out and have a beer with them, like that kind of thing. But like. Grandpa Kennedy, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I knew, I called him Poppy. I knew Poppy,
I met Poppy.
You saw him in the video.
Saw
Yeah,
Poppy in the
you
videos,
Poppy.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, you did. We're working on our commentating over Greg's childhood videos.
Tell you what, Poppy, Patience of Job with you.
Yeah.
I'm Greg nipping at his heels. Poppy's like, all right,
This
Greg.
World
all
War
right.
II veteran. You know what I mean? And I'll fucking interview him with an Eminem.
Oxygen
We'll
tanks,
talk
just
about it
feel
another
like
time. We'll talk about it another
leave me
time.
alone.
But like Poppy, like seems like he was like, especially as my mom's dad, like he was like, beer drinking, barbecuing, like, just jack all trades kind of like I would have loved to have like shown up at a bar, like be able to time travel back, go to the bar he's at and get a beer.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And not to see him like, because my grandma probably as well, right? Because you see them, you're the lens through which you view these people is always when they're like 70, 80 years old.
Of course.
At that point, they're curmudgeons already, right? They don't have any time. You don't have a lot in common with them when you're 12, but it'd be interesting to meet in that middle and be like, what were they like when they were 35?
Right.
Where their kids were still young and they were still, because I think about my parents when they were 30, and I remember them being like, and we talked about this before, but I remember them like taking out the lawn chairs on like a Saturday afternoon, putting them down there. The neighbors would come over with their lawn chairs, put them down. Kids would be playing in the street or whatever. And I remember looking over and being like, are they drinking right now? Like, what's going on? Just commiserating over there with each other, with fucking kids, having a cocktail. And I'm like, that's something I would do right now. I would sit out in the sun while I don't have the energy for it. My kids running around and I'm getting a little sauced up, a little slurry, like, it'd be cool. It'd be cool to be in that moment with them and just kind of pick their brains on what life was like.
Well, and that's the other thing I think about too. Like,
just eating cake over there.
Yeah,
you're a vision.
Oh my god.
The thing I think about, is like I would love to go back to like 1987.
That'd be awesome.
You know what I mean? And like, cause like, again, like I was alive for it, but I was 4 years old, right? So it's not like I remember anything from it, but like, and it sounds so stupid, but to go there and go to like McDonald's and get like the styrofoam cup and and like see that shit in real life and what the cars were and whatever. But then on top of all that, what is a big thing for me is like, I'm watching that. I keep forgetting the name of it. The new Elizabeth Olsen show on HBO.
I don't remember it either, but it's her and Jesse Plimpkin.
Yeah, where they have an affair or whatever, right? Yeah. And we were watching that last night, and it was the same thing of like you're watching Cake Cam. We're using Cake Cam to show my guy.
Just so you know, show the amps. Show the amps to the kids.
But it was the idea that like I'm watching that. It's similar to the '80s conversation of just like, man, like it's like late '70s when the show starts or whatever, and like to like watch them and their kids and just like. There's like nothing to do. The world is so vast, but yours is so small, and there is no internet, this, that, the other. It's just like a crazy thing to even try to wrap your head around, even though you and me, Nick, kind of lived it. Of like, we're the generation that didn't have the internet, then had the internet, and then have seen everything change to be all
I distinctly remember being bored. And now,
bored.
Bored.
I think you said born. I was like,
oh no, that was, I have a photographic memory. I
memory.
remember seeing a cave and then light.
Did you see the quote from Nick Cage recently?
What did he say?
Nick Cage is like, I remember being in the womb.
He does not. Nick Cage does too much coke.
He might.
He's got to stop. He's got to stop doing cocaine and ketamine. Allegedly.
I
don't know why he lost all his money. Allegedly. Had to do all those B movies. Allegedly. Whatever. No, I think about that a lot. I have this like weird fantasy kind of in my brain where I'm like, if you could go back to a period in your life and start from there, but knowing what you know now, you zap yourself into that 5-year-old body, would you do it, or would that be a living hell?
Living hell.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think it would be.
But you could be a billionaire by right now, but you might be fucking
but
crazy.
again,
you
it could be like you're 5 years old. Like, first off, they would put you in an asylum because you'd be like going in there and like writing perfectly, know all the things. Like just the basic.
You go to Harvard, you'd be fine. Back then, they had Doogie Howser. Like, this kid's a Doogie Howser. We don't know what's going on.
I've thought about it. Like, it's like, honestly, that is more of a scary scenario for me than an exciting one. Because then it is the thing of like, even still, like, all right, cool. Like, I know to buy Apple stock, but when do I sell it? And
Exactly.
Where do I get the money to do the thing?
You know
what I mean? Like, I don't know.
All you have to do is buy Google stock and Apple stock and just never sell it. And by the time you flash forward here, you'll be a billionaire. But I think about it. I'm like, that'd be so cool, because then you could like any issues I had with health, being overweight as a child, I could probably knock that out. But then I'm like, would I? Because if I was, every time I go back to my mom's house now, I eat my fucking face off.
Yep.
And I am 43 years old and I have those tools and I go, fuck it.
Yep.
Then I think about like if people are having problems, like when your parents are arguing, and you want to pull them aside and be like, look, guys.
Listen, I've been in the future. It doesn't work out.
It's just not happening.
Just get out of it now.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, we'd be weird.
And that, there's that part of it. But then it's like also like, for me, I think of how I don't like replaying games.
Yeah.
And so it would be the fact of like, I'm replaying life. So it's like the thing I enjoy the most, video games.
Right.
I'm playing a NES shit, and I'm like, I instead of going for the Master System, I get the NES. But then even still, I'm like, I can't wait for the PS5. You know what I mean? I only have to wait 30 years to get there or whatever. But
I think the same way. I think about like, I'm like, would I do it all over again? The only thing I'd have to rectify is like how I end up meeting D. That's all I have to
That's where my brain goes.
That's all
too,
I have to get to.
Is that like I've had this conversation with Leanza of like, okay, if I go back in time, let's say I had to redo this all, do I just, because we met on Tinder, like a random swipe, like, do I figure out like some like what, do I go to your job and be like, oh, hello, how you doing, miss? You know what I mean? And, like,
That's my thing,
like, how
too.
do you figure out all these little things that lead you to the place, like the parts of your life that you really like now, and then also change the things that you don't like? You know what I mean? Like, it's such a scary situation, but also it's like, oh, fuck, I can just buy Bitcoin and then sell real quick.
That's all you do, right? You can just buy Bitcoin and then have like $200 million in it somewhere.
I was going to ask a question that could derail this. So
Well, let's keep going actually a little bit more because I've thought about it so much with like the Captain America, like go back and then live the alternate reality with Peggy kind of thing, or maybe the real reality. They never really clarified, but it doesn't matter. But it was like, yeah, exactly. For me, it would be I looked into it enough after I had this thought long enough of like I wouldn't ever want it to happen to me, but in case it does. The one thing I'm prepared to go back in the timeline is like I will get Portillo first. Instead of past Greg, I'm like I know where and I know what day I got him. So come the day before, as soon as they open on that morning and get him and be with me.
Oh, in this version, there's still another Greg running around.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, see, in my version.
Well, I see. Yeah. So I've thought of it in multiple ways.
Yeah.
But
Gotcha.
Still get Portillo either as current Greg who's old and going back and just gonna live and have money or whatever, and then Jen of like, what do I need to say? Because I wouldn't want to do the whole like. Try to make sure it happens the exact same way. Like, how could I meet her and explain to her what's going on?
So would you do that? Would you try to be like...
I think so, because, like, why not? Like, let's fuck it up. Let's get out, you know what I mean? But then it is also the thing of you rob that other person in that reality of, like, the growth they had to get to that part.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so I had this conversation with D, and some of this that spurred on is obviously, like, you're seeing Guardians of the Galaxy 3, the Gamora situation, right? He has this happening where he sees what it could have been, but can't figure out how to rectify that, right? I talked to D about it. I was like, would you do this? She goes, I would only do it if you did it too, and we both somehow knew each other. And I'm like, well, that'd be weird because then we'd spend our whole lives together. And she goes, yeah, but then we'd get 30 more years together. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, but then I'd be even shorter when you met me. That would be weird, right?
Yeah.
But then I'm thinking to myself, maybe I don't do marching band. Maybe I do sports. I don't drink so much soda. I don't smoke cigarettes. Maybe I am 5'10" when she marries me when I'm 22 and we're billionaires. And then we get to travel.
It's just that thing of like, I just
world.
couldn't, would you, like maybe I do sports. Like, I guess you have changed.
But see,
I
would
like my passions haven't changed.
Yeah.
As Poe said on the
yeah.
birthday stream, I've been the same kid since grade school.
You really
it's
have.
like
It's wild. But no, I think like I loved marching band, and I just got to spend some time with my friend who's a marching band director now, and we've been friends since junior high. And I look back and we were talking fondly on it, but I'm like, if I had it to do over again, I would actually like to see what it was like to just do like theater and soccer.
Yeah.
Like do a sport that I could be not great at, but something that kept me physically moving forward, because as you get older and you start to feel sort of the aches and pains, I've talked about my knee being fucked up. I'm like, God, I wish I could just run again like I could when I was 16. But I never did.
Yeah.
But I wish I had a reason to do that and work out and do those things.
Sure.
So I'd want to do all that stuff. And then I think to myself, do I go to UC Irvine or do I just skip college altogether, wait for this whole YouTube thing to kick up, and then start making videos there? Because I have the knowledge. I know how to I know how to use all those cameras from the advent of digital video all the way up to now.
Yeah.
Why not just start bankrolling? Be the what was that guy that the original YouTuber, Ray William Johnson?
Yeah.
Ray
Yeah,
Johnson.
be that guy. Just talk to a camera with a cool background that's blurred out a little bit. And everyone's like, "Holy shit, you're incredible!"
Yeah.
and
But
then
it's
you're
still the
just a
same thing
millionaire.
of like how that would alter so much. Because again, I've thought so much about it, right? The old adage for me, right, was when Up at Noon happened and I started learning about YouTube really was, and I was like, fuck, I should have been doing this. Like, when I was at the Tribune, I had done a bunch of videos of like the first PS3 leaving Walmart and stuff. And those videos had done well.
Yeah.
And I was like, why didn't I think to turn the camera on? I remember at the time with you at VidCon being like, I could have been Phil DeFranco for video games, right? I wouldn't have even needed IGN. But if I had done that, it would have put me on such a different path of like, would it have led to this? Would I be thought of as a serious critic at the time, or would I just been some kid on YouTube?
And that's just like that's what you were trained with journalism. You never put yourself into it. You are
exactly.
Also, it's like a product of that time, right? Where access is different. So
yeah, of course,
because no one could have a similar experience. The natural inclination is to be the window into that experience. Whereas these days, like everyone can have every experience, like mostly. So now the window that people want is how is someone else reacting to that experience that I can have.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, like I think probably would do the same thing and get here again. I imagine.
Maybe though, because you think to yourself though, you've had 40 years now of those experiences, And so obviously you're going to gravitate towards some of that stuff, but do you go to Mizzou or do you try a different college or do you even go
See,
to?
I would totally want to go to Mizzou again.
Well, I mean, that's great. And do that all over again. Relive those years with the Antlers because I'm sure that'd be really, really fun. I
Can
would
you imagine though, like being there now and having like, if I got even
You're too
warped-
responsible now.
I was gonna say, if let's say I got warped,
you're not sleeping in that fucking basement again.
dude, don't even get me started. The house we
Shit,
lived
that
in,
probably
the
gets
shit we'd
cancer.
say, the shit we would do. I'd be like, oh my god, like, oh,
Dropping.
no.
Who was that time we dropped the TV on someone's chest or some shit like that?
That's not true. I don't know what.
I forgot. There was a story you told of like cops coming because someone got dropped through a TV or some shit like that. Maybe I'm making that up.
You're confusing maybe a few different things.
I might be confusing some
Cops
of the back.
came a lot of time. There was this one where I put it. We took all the stuff that was being thrown out by a roommate and put it on top of somebody's car, and they tossed it off, and that broke a bottle. And then I jumped on a suitcase and rolled off suitcase and rolled on the broken bottle and cut my knee open.
That might be the case.
Yeah,
I'm
that sounds
thinking of,
about
yeah.
right.
That was
I
one
remember
day?
there being blood a lot.
That was one day.
Yeah, cops didn't come that day.
Yeah.
To be clear. The next day we tried to do a ride around. We were planning to do a little. We called it the Antler Parade, but what it was just climbing in the back of somebody's pickup truck and driving around campus and yelling at people to join the Antlers or whatever. And but then what it turned into was we did that,
marketing.
but then I got driven to the student hospital center or the hospital because my knee was still wide open from rolling out a bottle. And then it became a weird version of Hey Mister, except it was Hey Doctor, of like, hey, as people are coming and going in their scrubs, like, will you look at my knee? Like, I don't want to go in the actual ER. And they're like, no. Fun time.
Genius.
That was college. That was
Yeah,
college. That's a lot.
you had fun.
Yeah.
I 100% would not have gone to UC Irvine.
Yeah.
But then
Well, yeah, you regret that all the time, though.
I regret it. I think it was I told my buddy the other day. He was like, "Where'd you go to college again?" I was like, "I went to Irvine." I was like, "I got accepted to Santa Barbara, but I just didn't feel like." And he was just like, "You fucking idiot." For you, I don't. You don't.
I hated my college experience. So I went to a small little film school for a year. Spent way too much money. 1 year, it was a middle school that was converted into a private college. So spent a lot of money on 1 year.
I mean, to me that sounds fun.
It
to go to a
sounds
film
fun,
school
but
for-
then it's just like the professors were just like the D'est of list, and they just did not care. Like they were just checked out to
That's a
a
bull-
lot
that
of weird,
sucks.
a lot of weird old school people from film who were just really misogynistic and weird, and being like, "Hey guys, this is how you fuck your assistants." It's like, whoa,
Jesus.
like this is
What?
what
That
we're
was a
teaching?
class?
Yeah, in front of the class.
Roger's
At
like,
film
Roger's
school?
like, I'm listening.
No, but there was a bunch of those guys in the school who were just like, I love Tarantino and I love misogyny. It's like, oh, fuck, this is a weird
Wait,
fucking
when did you
place
go to
be.
school?
20.
What year was this?
2017, 2016?
Oh shit, that shouldn't have been like that.
Oh, no,
2017.
no. It
I thought you were. I
should not.
read of like 2002. Yeah, you get it. Okay.
Yeah, so I
we're still
left
making. You know.
I left after a year,
she's
and then
all
I
that,
went
whatever.
to community college for a year and a half, and then I went to a design school for a year with my girlfriend, Leanza. So that was great. I would have just, if I were to redo it all, I just would have went for design. And
Yeah.
it was also way cheaper too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I think that
actually-
too. I'm like, I would have totally not done the UC. I would have gone a couple years at a junior high to just study, or junior college, and then maybe tried to get into like UCLA
Yeah.
or someplace that was like a 2-year film school, just to make those connections. I think that would have been fun.
Yeah,
Is that what you set out to do though? Originally, like, you're going to be a filmmaker?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not a big film person, right? So I went to a film school because I was like, oh, I want to do like
I was like, I'm
internet
going to
stuff.
disrupt this. We're not making films here anymore. We're going to do TikTok videos.
Yeah, no, exactly. But like, it was weird because like I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do, right? I'm already making YouTube videos and stuff, so I was like, okay, let me try this. I wanted to do design for a while, and then a friend of mine was
When
like,
you say design, what is
like graphic design.
Okay.
Yeah, most
'cause
graphic
I liked, well, not even just like Photoshop and stuff. I was like really into that stuff. And then I had a real bad friend at the time who just said something really offhandedly that was just like, he's like, there's so many people better than you. You shouldn't do that. And I was just, and then it just changed my career, like the way that I did everything. Cause I was just like, oh, you're my best friend. So I just shouldn't
Oh,
do
you
that.
think I suck?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
then,
so I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, so I should never do that. And then I ended up meeting Leanza, and then she was just like, you're good at this. You should try doing that. So I went back to school for that, and that was my final year of college, and that was incredible. I just should have done that the entire time.
Well, that's the whole point of college, right?
Yeah.
Is you're supposed to figure that. That's why people should
Experimentation.
go. You experiment. You figure it out.
Yeah. Wish I had more of a party life though. That is one thing. Even a year of that, right? I just never had that at all. Even
Yeah, I mean that was a pivot. You got to have it a little bit,
Yeah.
I would say. But I mean, I
Yeah,
look
you
back
do.
and I think a lot of the stuff that I did, like partying wise, that the best times I had were the times when I figured out that I wanted to do film, met the people in the area that became like in the film studies department that became like my best friends all throughout college, and then I just hung out with them.
Yeah.
Those are the times that I was like, we're not even raging, we're just enjoying ourselves, having a couple drinks, not going too fucking nuts. But I don't know. again, in this alternate reality, bye fuckers, not a film studies major in this one. Daddy's just bankrolling everything I could. Okay, who's going to be big next year? Kardashians. What do you got to say about them? Fuck it.
That's what you're gonna somehow bankroll this about the Kardashians?
Well, I figure I'm like, I'm not going to college because that's useless and it's a waste of my parents' money. So I figure I graduate high school because you have to. I do.
At this point, too, you graduate high school and you've proven to Lou and Elena, I'm from the future. You've told them, right?
I would not do that. What I would do is I would be like, look, Mom, Dad, you guys work really hard to provide me with this life. Let me get a job right now. And they're like, Nick, you're 10. And I'm like, I know, but I need to start buying this stuff called Apple stock.
Yeah.
And I know this is going to sound bonkers, but you're just going to have to trust me. I need you to co-sign this brokerage account for me so that I can start buying as much stock in this thing called Apple and then this alphabet company that's eventually going to be Google. I need both those things. We're going to take those eventually. And when this thing called Bitcoin happens, we're going to be at that university where they were handing it out for free for people for projects. We're going to get a couple of those points, right? And then we're going to turn this around. So by the time I'm 18 years old, theoretically, I do this right, I'm well on the way of not needing to work ever.
Yeah, you're
Of course.
From that point on, I go, Mom, look, brokerage account, see it. You got to trust me on this one. I've already done the partying. I'm going to go work the door at the Comedy Store for like the dark years of the Comedy Store, the 90s, right?
Sure.
If I can be there by 16, great, perfect, if they'll let me do it. That way I get the whole Mitzi Shore era, I get all that stuff. Midway through that, I start making you start making YouTube videos because that's 2004 is right around the time you really need to start catching that wave of
Catch the wave.
oh my God, this guy knows how to do lightsaber stuff, and he turns into Freddie Wong. It's like, I want to be that guy. That's easy peasy for me right now.
Yeah.
So are you going down the path of like, are you yesterdaying it, that hit movie? Where are you taking people's ideas from that you've seen in your?
Oh, you mean like Hot Tub Time Machine, where he's like, "That's my son." You say, "Only hear what you want." I think that was that one, right? Oh no, it was a different one.
That was I think the second one they did that, but it was Van Halen when in the first one at the end of it.
Yeah, that's right. No, I'm not doing that. I'm doing the thing of like, I don't have to work, so now I just want to maybe just have a presence and do the art that I would want to do at the time there, which is just making fun stuff on the internet, doing stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Imagine a life where you're like, you can do what we do here, but not have to worry necessarily about the paycheck. That's what I would want to set myself up for.
Yeah.
Then the question becomes, what excuse do I use to be in San Francisco to meet my wife in 2007?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know anything about her prior to that. I had to pre-interview her, and then I had to figure out how to get there and not be super creepy peepee.
Yeah.
Because
Could you convince your wife? Like, could you, if you all this happened like you're talking about, could you head it off at the pass, meet Dee wherever she works or lives at the time, be like, hey, this is gonna sound nuts, but
I don't think I would try that tactic.
Okay.
For two reasons. One, my wife is very, very, she's way too smart for that. She'd be like, that's weird. It'd probably weird her out. And two, I'd have to pre-interview her before. I don't really listen when she talks about her past, so I get a lot of those things wrong.
That's awesome. Wow. That is fucking
You know what I mean?
awesome.
I'd be like, look, because you got to say the one thing to her. She'd be like, that's not right at all. I'm like, fuck, why did I
This is
pay
always,
attention?
I love this time travel conversation because I've thought so many different ways around it.
Yeah.
This is my fear of being kicked back to like 1900
Yeah.
or like
You're not-
1800
Ooh.
and be like, oh, but we just need penicillin. Well, what's that? I'd be like, mold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know how it works.
Well, guys, we're gonna have combustion engines and gasoline. How do we make gasoline? You know what I mean? Like, batteries.
What about
I don't.
microchips?
There's
Well,
a thing.
this is what people always tell me too. Like, why don't you just go back and like do this sports betting thing? I was like,
Can you remember?
who the fuck
Yeah, who
won the
remembers that?
1992 Super Bowl? By what spread? I don't know. I can't.
Yeah.
I think Denver won at one point. I think San Francisco was pretty dominant in the 90s, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Fuck
that's
my thing.
awesome though. Like you couldn't even tell your wife like specific stories about
No.
her or whatever.
When I fantasize about re-meeting her and re-wooing her, it has to be straight up charm. I have to be like, here's what I thought about. I go, okay, I remember the weekend I met her.
Yeah.
And I remember the circumstances I met her. So I'm thinking maybe I'll try to orchestrate it so that I meet her, but I don't ask her out then. I just tell her I'm a stand-up comic, and I try to figure out how to headline Cobb's at that point, and then invite her and some of her friends out to come see me. And then from that point on, I'm pretty sure I could seal the deal.
Okay.
Because if you see me ball out, I parked the car out front, and then this car is like a Porsche, something cool like that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is me. And then I tell her the following words. Well, I've lived this crazy life, made a lot of money. But really, I'm just looking for someone who I can just settle down with, commit myself to, and travel the world with. The second she hears me say that, sees the Porsche, I'm getting a shot. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
I'm getting her attention.
Okay.
Because my wife loves to travel.
See, I like your interpretation because like when I've thought about it and whatever, it's like I would tell my parents for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that would be the hardest thing because I think like Jen, I could convince no problem. Especially when I just show up. Well, I mean, like, I'm some random American who showed up in either Montreal or Quebec City or whatever, and I'm telling you like intimate details about your life and your family. Like nobody would just know. You know what I mean? Like I think. And Jen being like a nerd like the rest of us would be able to be like, all right, cool, I get.
You don't think she'd have that knee jerk of like, this guy is a weird stalker?
I mean,
I think you got to wait until she's the age you met her at.
Well, I'm not talking about like I'm going like, I'm not going there at 13 or whatever.
You got to go like close to when she was there because my worry.
Again, I don't want to rob her of her experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My worry would be that like whatever experiences Dee went through were either so terrible that she settled for me. Or like so bad that she was like, I'm looking for something better.
Yeah, totally.
You gotta have her go through
I don't want to go there because again, we're all different people at 24, 34, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so you can't screw that up. My parents, on the other hand, like, I would try to like your whole thing of like, I'm not gonna go to college. I'm gonna do like, I think I could. Again, it would be tough because I am not the dates guy, both for video games and for life, right? So it would be a little bit tougher of like. I'd have to wait for as we get closer to something I know is gonna happen. Like, listen, I need you to understand. Like, I've been doing this, and like and this is what's gonna happen tomorrow. You know what I mean? Or that's gonna blah blah.
That's so easy though, right? You're sitting there, you're like, this is the Nintendo Entertainment System. In a few years, they're gonna call it the SNES. People call it the SNES. They're gonna have Sega Genesis, this and this. 5 years later, your parents will be like, what is the next thing happening?
Sure,
they give you all their money to invest.
That's smart.
You're taking all your money. You're going. Furbies or Beanie Babies, right? Remember the Beanie Baby? Remember the Beanie Baby?
We're getting in on Beanie Babies and Power Rangers.
We need
Power
Spider-Man
Rangers
comics.
right away. We're getting right out.
We're getting right out.
You guys gotta understand. This is like we got a weekend where we're making money off this, or we are fucked.
30 years from now.
I love that.
For one
That's
weekend.
how I do it.
AMC
I
stock.
show up and I'm just playing the fucking quick turn stuff.
Dude, you could though, right?
Totally.
AMC stock for one day. You could have been a millionaire.
Hey, and like, but
All
then
in
it's
Doge.
also the thing I've thought about too of like, like the, butterfly effect of it all of like, so if I showed up and, there's that, and this is like even just a few years ago, stick with me.
God.
But like when I, on that Games Daily, it was like, yo, GameStop's stock is almost about delisted. And I said on the show, I'm like, I'd buy it if I thought it was ethical for me to buy stuff we cover, but it's like, it's going to come back, right? Because of consoles. I never thought it was going to come back in the fucking Wall Street bets way. But if you would have, like, you know what I mean? Like, so, but it's like, I think if I, on that day, Greg Miller of the one who's prepared for it, buys $100 million of it, right? Wall Street bets is like, I'm not buying this. And then I fucking get tanked. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Alex in the chat brings up a real good question. Nick's missing a big thing here. Go back and prank a few high schoolers named Tim and Alfredo and Kevin.
What would you do to them?
I wouldn't do anything to them, but for sure they would hold really low level jobs with me for the rest of their lives. Like for sure, I'd be like, Tim.
That got Mike. That got Sleepy Mike with his plate of cake. Is that my birthday cake? Okay.
And we have like 5 cakes.
Yeah.
Still. We have a lot. You want some cake?
Are they still good?
Yeah, I mean they're 5 days old. They've been in the fridge. I mean, ask Mike. Mike, they're a little dry, probably. Yeah.
All right, fine.
Get a piece of cake.
Yeah, it's a tough one of like how time travel because it'd be so much. There'd be so many ups and downs to it. Where I'd be like excited for sure, and then like also terrified of fucking everything up and like whatever.
Yeah, my one worry is that if I went too far back, because I'd like to go back far enough so that I could be healthier now and never have been super. Like my big thing is like I would like to see what life was like going through my teens and young adulthood, not super overweight.
Sure,
that's the one thing I think I could go back and be like, what would life be like where I'm not ashamed to take my shirt off for the rest of my life?
Yeah, that's a good one.
So that would be cool. But what I know about myself is if Dee wasn't there with me, if I didn't have the occasional opportunity to call her and be like, hey, you okay? You good?
Yeah.
I'd fucking go nuts. I'd probably get into a really bad depression, and I don't think I'd make it out of the 20s, honestly. I think I'd hit a point where I'm like, this is fucking driving me crazy, and I'd go insane and probably start drinking myself to death. I just don't think I could handle it.
Well.
That's how so there's like the Back to the Future version, and then like you make this the indie movie, and that's how it ends.
Sure.
Where you're like, you didn't even get to 19 because you know, like, you've lived
again, like
15 years of knowing what's going to happen. It's like,
and that's the
driving you
thing
crazy.
where it's like, you'd be, you're a 60-year-old in a 15-year-old's body or whatever at that point. Like, and then granted, like, you feel great, but like, anytime you see anybody who's got a mortal life in the vampire stuff, I'm like, I don't know, this wouldn't be good, would it?
And you get into like that like existential idea of like, you start, let's say you do go back in time and you start becoming like really rich at like 16. It's like maybe that version of myself is gone. You know what I mean? I'm a different person now and I'm down this different path. And it's like,
That's
I'm never going to
problem,
go
right?
back to this version of myself that I actually did like parts of.
I mean, imagine
the scariest
being
part for me.
wealthier way by a wide margin than your parents when you're 16.
Yeah. No.
That's never gone bad for any kid in Hollywood, right? Like, it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
At some point, people start resenting you. So that's the other thing is too, is like, how do you low key build that, but stay the same semi-grounded person that I was when I was 16? I was fucking weird, but you know, without my parents being like, what is with this kid? Or
Not
are
to
we
mention
dependent
too,
on
like
this
if you
kid?
like think about it at 16, we're talking about the wealth of it, but again, like you're again, like let's say I did right now, I'd be and had to relive everything or whatever, however this is all working. But like my mental age is 56 by the time I'm 16, right? I'm 40 now. We add the 16, however we're doing it, and so it's like, but then I'm still surrounded by 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
Like these fucking morons. You know what I mean? Like,
I think about that too. You know what's so funny is I think about that too, because when you were 16, you were just so immature.
Yeah.
And you've had like since, I mean, I still keep in touch with a lot of my high school friends, and they've lived they're completely, there's just so many different set of circumstances that people were going through in high school that you just never realized.
Sure.
And then you see it now and you go, oh my God, I should have been so much nicer to this person, or I should have been this person's friend because we had so much cool stuff in common. And then you're like, what would it be? You can't date anyone, right?
Pedophile.
You can't. That's weird.
Yeah.
Even though you are 16, you're not. You're 56. So
Yeah.
you can't. If a girl has a crush on you, you gotta be like, it really isn't you. It's me.
Yeah.
Like I can't. This is not a thing that's happening. And so then you're the weird person that like doesn't want to date
Totally.
anyone. And
Yeah.
it's a lot of stuff you have to navigate with this. That's why it's like maybe you're just so wealthy by the time you're 12. You're just like, boom, I'm gone. You go live in LA for a little bit or something crazy. I don't know, man.
How does that help it? It's so many things. You're living in LA.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, but I think about it. It's a romantic concept to go live it all over again. But that's Dee and I had a fun conversation about this a few weekends back when we were traveling, and she was like, "Yeah, it's either both of us together, and we'd have to just live together. Like we'd have to somehow figure out a way for our parents." She grew up really far from me. It's still in California, but far enough where it's like in the 80s. Your mom ain't driving you to fucking LA every day.
You're doing like pen pal programs?
to see your friends. Yeah, I was like, we'd have to figure out a way where we kept
I
in
get
contact
stickers on you?
and eventually live together like right after high school, so we could make it work.
And we're also talking about like just the personal aspect of it, but like what about like the world aspect of it? Like we all know like awful things that happen in this world.
Like
that,
9/11?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That
Like,
we're
what do
gonna
you
have to
do?
be like, okay, is that even possible to stop? Like, what do I do here? And then
Dude,
you start
try
going,
and explain that you're the conspiracy theorist. Like that's who you
Exactly.
become.
I mean, not only that, but you're on an FBI watch list. They
Yeah.
arrest you.
I mean,
What are you gonna do? Hey, FBI, call.
I'm there already. Fine.
What are you gonna
You're like,
do?
it's not that bad.
It's all right. Yeah. It's just occasionally you'll see someone staring at you and wonder, is this it? Is this it?
That's so. That's so.
See, the thing about it though, if you did it, you're this gajillionaire at 16.
Yeah.
You can then back presidential candidates, right?
Sure.
Especially the ones you know are going to win.
George W. Bush.
Then you have the private conversations with them.
Yeah.
And this is tough.
I mean, Bush knew what was happening.
This is tough. And this is tough to be like,
Turn the book
I'm
upside down.
from the future. And that's how I made all this money. I did those things. We need to talk about a few different things we need to lock down and do and not get involved in.
yeah.
Yeah, like Afghanistan. Just don't get involved at all. See what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
See what happens.
I wouldn't phrase it that way.
No, but that would be a big moral conundrum. It's the same thing that pops up when you start thinking about Captain America, right?
Yep.
You're gonna tell me Captain America, who spent the better part of the last part of his life risking his fucking life to save the goddamn universe, goes back in time, sees someone getting mugged on the streets in 1950 or whatever, and does shit about it? No.
Well,
You
here's the
see
thing,
him to go through all these things, he does nothing about it. He's gonna do something.
and he probably did, which
Yeah.
would be a great Disney Plus show. Let's see that. You know,
Never
One day.
happening. They can't afford them.
They did. It's called Ghosted, and it's with him and Anna de Armas, and it looks terrible. What are those movies?
I don't know.
What are they doing?
They pop up sometimes like, what is this?
When did they make this
Yeah,
fucking
what
movie? When
is
did they make Ghosted with Anna de Armas and Chris Evans? Like, was it a weekend they had free and they just got him out there and shot some stuff with him? What a weird ass
First
movie.
AI written piece of media, I'm sure.
You think so?
Yeah.
What do you? Chris Evans, God bless him. He deserves it.
Sam, do you still have a tangent to take us on? It's from forever ago.
Yes.
Okay, before you do, let me remind everybody that this is the Kind of Funny podcast. Each and every week we come together to talk about whatever we want to talk about. The sugar's hitting. The sugar's starting to
Oh,
hit. y'all.
shit.
Woo!
Oh,
Oh,
shit.
Yeah, Mike.
Woo!
It's really hitting Mike. Everybody get a shot of Mike when you can. Of course, you can support the show by going to patreon.com/kindoffunny, where you can watch us record it live, just like Mike L is and Chris Anka is. Hey, what up?
Chris.
Greg, they are doing that show. I'll believe when I see it. That's not official.
Yeah.
that I know of. Chris, if it's official, text me. Then while you're there, you're watching live, you're doing the thing. You could get a whole bunch of bonus content, and then of course you could get the show ad free. But since you're not on Patreon.com/KindaFunny, here's a word from our sponsor.
Shout out to Honey for sponsoring this episode. Honey is the easy way to save when shopping on your iPhone or computer. Thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past, and we all know there's nothing better than the feeling of saving money. Honey's the free shopping tool that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best one it finds to your cart. Here's how it works. Imagine you're shopping on one of your favorite sites. When you check out, the Honey button appears, and all you have to do is click Apply Coupons. You wait a few seconds as the Honey guy dances. It searches for coupons it can find for the site, and if it finds a working coupon, you will watch the prices drop. We here at Kinda Funny have been using Honey for years, and it has literally saved us thousands on tech, costumes, food, you name it. Honestly, I just love how easy it is to set, forget, and save. Honey doesn't just work on desktops, it also works on your iPhone. You just activate it on Safari on your phone, save on the go. And if you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out. By getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting this show. You can get PayPal Honey for free at joinhoney.com/kindafunny. That's joinhoney.com/kindafunny. Shout out to Rocket Money for sponsoring this episode. We all love gobbling up content, and we have an understanding of what subscriptions we use. Or do we? Do you know how much your subscriptions really cost? Most Americans think they spend around $80 a month on subscriptions when the actual total is closer to $200. That's right. You out there. You could be wasting hundreds of dollars each month on subscriptions you don't even know about. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending and it helps you lower your bills, all in one place. Rocket Money has saved some of us here at Kinda Funny a ton of money, and it can help you too. Stop throwing away your money. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/kindafunny. That's rocketmoney.com/kindafunny. ROCKETMONEY.com/kindafunny.
What do you got for me, Tim?
All right, so this entire time I've been having an existential crisis
Okay.
because I was like, I have no frames of reference for anything you guys are talking about.
Sure.
And also, like, I don't have those shared experiences, right? Like high school and that kind of stuff. And I was thinking, there's a decent chance, like, the rest of my life is going to be in this country.
Yeah.
And as part, like, I would like to have kids. I would like to have, if I have a kid, I have no frame of reference of what the school system is like, for example. That's something I think about a lot. So I'm
Absolutely horrible.
Because obviously everything I know about the American school system is consumed through pop culture.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know, Saved by the Bell or the OC or whatever it might be. So my thinking was like, how do I prepare myself to potentially take a kid through the schools or American life with no frame of reference?
I think it's easy. And I think Greg and I are probably, my mind is your mind, thinking the exact same thing. You shave the beard and you never been kissed it. You go back to high school. You enter yourself in as a high school freshman. Live that life for 4 years and figure it out. I don't know, because I think of like Ben growing up. The school's going to be so much different. Everything's going to be so much different by the time he gets into it, that it's going to be a way radically different experience than what I had. Computers alone. I'm assuming kids have to bring laptops to school now, right? Because they have to in college. So I'm assuming high school kids have to bring laptops and phones and all that stuff. And it's just different. Like, I don't know.
They got the iPads now.
They have iPads, they have all that stuff. And like everyone's, I mean, there was just a moment like when we were kids where, your school would be, when did we start? 7 o'clock in the morning? What school start? 8 o'clock maybe? Damn. And then it get out at 3.
I want to say like 7:45 might have been first bell, and like
that sounds about right. 8 o'clock,
Yeah.
and then we get out at 2:45, 3 o'clock.
I was out at 3:15 in grade school. Yeah.
Like even that, I'm like, I don't even know if they do that anymore. I think there's periods that move around. Like your parents have to come pick you up. Our parents had to come pick us up. Now, what do kids Uber home? I don't know what's going on. But by the time your kids go to school, it's all going to be automated cars are just going to come pick them up and like bring them to whatever their computer screen is that the person's going to talk to them. Or maybe people don't even go to school anymore. Who the hell knows?
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those. It's an interesting one because I don't know anything about your schooling, you know what I mean? So it's like I can't compare contrast that way or whatever.
Yeah, I think like a lot of the things, like again, pop culture.
Where'd you grow up?
London.
London, okay.
Yeah. So a lot of like pop culture.
I don't think it's
stuff.
that vastly different.
I think it is.
We call all the numbers and grades different. I know that's weird.
Yeah, but like I mean like
You have primary school.
yeah, but
Right.
like the thing that I would think about is like within like high school, for example, social hierarchy.
Sure.
Like that exists, right? And it's something that is a common part of like pop culture media,
Yeah,
that kind
of
of stuff. Everything's built around it.
It didn't.
He was a
in my
jock.
high
She was a
school,
nerd.
Yeah, jocks and nerds and that kind of stuff. And
That
ins and
shit's
outs and-
changed though.
Yeah,
21
that's what I was
Jump Street
thinking.
really changed that.
That's
for
what really
everyone
turned the
that
corner.
was-
21
Yep,
Jump Street's
absolutely.
done a lot of work recently, changing people's minds.
I mean,
on things.
but like I always talk about my high school career of like, yeah, that strata was there. We had jocks, we had theater dorks, we had band geeks, we had the academic people, we had the drug kids. But for whatever reason, in my high school, we all just got along, and like it was just there was a lot of crossover where people just kind of tried other stuff at my school.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I don't think I never saw anyone get. I mean, I'm sure it happened, but I never got really picked on for being a band geek by
Right.
like the football players because they were also in the plays with me.
No.
So it was like we kind of knew all these people, and it was like it was a little bit better. But I think
Yeah.
now I think the perception of being a geek
Is different, yeah,
is
yeah.
different, right? It's like what does that really mean? Oh, you really like
Yeah,
Marvel
everyone
movies?
plays
Well,
video
everyone
games.
fucking likes Marvel movies,
Yeah.
right? Oh,
Yeah.
you play video games? Oh, that's mainstream and the biggest industry on the planet as far as like entertainment's
true.
concerned.
Yeah, we
so.
didn't have that kind of like social hierarchy thing, as far as I know.
That's wild.
Maybe
to
you
me
did,
in
like
London.
maybe it was in different like.
I feel like
if
you guys
went-
invented the British
Oh yeah,
invented the social hierarchy.
we definitely did, but like I think it's unless you went to a specific kind of school, maybe it's like the super rich schools or the that kind of stuff where everyone's kind of got a chip on their shoulder. That's where it comes out. But like for the most public schools, I think our public schools are because correct me if I'm wrong. Public schools have a bad reputation here, right?
Some do, some
do,
don't.
right,
Public
yeah.
schools generally
It's
in,
really
in
based on where you are.
major
Yeah.
cities have a bad reputation. So the big thing for like San Francisco, for instance, or New York,
Yeah.
is that you don't want your kid going to public school. They have to go to private school.
Right.
And then that comes with a specific stigma and connotation
Yeah.
of saying, "Oh, you're a private school kid. You must have been doing cocaine when you were like 12
yeah.
because you have a ton of money and your parents don't ever pay attention to you."
Yeah, so like public schools in at least in London were like generally like they're super good. Like so
I
it's
mean,
like
my public school was great.
yeah.
Like I went to a school in Riverside, California. What up, John W. North High? If you're watching, go Huskies.
What up?
And we had some. We had kids from all level of income at our school.
Yeah.
We actually had we skewed kind of on the lower income side.
Yeah.
We also had a tremendous. We had the International Baccalaureate program and Advanced Placement program, so we had really smart kids. So our athletics was dominant, and we were the smartest kids in town, which was great.
Yeah.
But I would, if I were in Riverside, I would not hesitate to put my kid in a public school. I don't think we had private schools in Riverside.
Yeah.
Maybe they had a couple, but
The schools in SF, public schools, they good?
well, Tim was a Lowell.
Yeah, Tim would have more of an answer because I came in late in middle school. So I had a very tiny middle school experience, but I'd never heard any of my friends complain about it. Really liked the high school that I went to. Wasn't my first choice for that. I was trying to go to more of an artsy high school called Soda here. But then ended up at Abraham Lincoln High School. And that was during a time where a lot of the funding wasn't there, but still a lot of great communities and even with the funding that they had, still putting in a lot of programs to help kids find their passion and their way in life. And yeah, so I don't know. I really liked my high school. All my friends went to different high schools. That was the kind of nice thing about going to high school in San Francisco. Just everybody kind of knew each other.
Yeah.
And I never heard anything super terrible about any other specific high school. So I don't know. Kind of Nick was saying, we're all just kind of chill, just hanging out.
Yeah,
just
what-
trying to exist.
What a lot of people do is if they know they're going to have a family,
Yeah.
they tend to move to
Move out,
areas where
High school.
their kid is going to be in the district of a decent enough public school, or you got to make baller ass money to send your kid to private school in San Francisco specifically.
This comes from I also had a nightmare. You know, one of those nightmares where it's oh, you're back at school and you're scared.
Hate
So
them.
I had the nightmare where it was I was at a parent teacher conference as a parent
Yeah.
in this country, and they were telling me things, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. So I was and I woke up that day, I was like, what if that happens to me? That's got a decent chance of
The
happening.
biggest
to me.
thing I think so far about being a parent that's interesting is that, yes, that idea of the high school and public and private and that is a thing that you can easily get wrapped up and scared in. But the thing is that you're always worrying about the thing just in front of you. And dude, there's don't get me wrong, we've looked into and thought about and had preliminary conversations about preschool, right, for Ben, but it's not so much the concern about high school yet, right?
Right.
It's the same way of when Ben got here, it was so much about learning how to take care of a newborn, not worrying about potty training, right? As we get closer to that becomes what you start learning. You learn what you need to know, and there's enough resources and friends and people to talk to figure out that stuff. Like, that's what's been helpful with us with the move of, we kind of feel like for, and I say the move, obviously we moved before Ben was even born. It was the idea that we moved into a great neighborhood and we're surrounded by great families who have so much advice about how school works and whatever. So that preschool and elementary, I feel like I'm set on. I'm not worried about for it, even though his will be dramatically different than mine was, right? Because for me, I went private school my entire life up till Mizzou.
Did you go private religious, like Catholic school?
Yeah, Catholic school. Yeah, I was Catholic school, kindergarten through high school, all the way till I knew nothing other than a school uniform until I got to Mizzou, which is why I dressed like an idiot, and still do. So it's like, the schools that are around us are great. So my intention is that, or assumption, because again, I have a conversation with Jen about anything, is that Ben will go to a public school. And so I'm also interested of like, is it going to be like Saved by the Bell for him? Let alone, what's a California school look like in general? Exactly. And, a very, it's the Bay Area, right? It's super liberal here in general. And it is like, you can go outside all the time and do different activities and yada, yada, yada. Like,
the biggest advice I have, and I know I'm a little biased here, especially with the younger kids and looking at schools, is like literally just like talk to the teachers, learn about what they're doing in classrooms, and if that speaks to you, because that can go a long way with even if it is a public school that doesn't have all the fancy bells and whistles of programs that private schools have. There's still a lot of passion from the teachers in the classroom of what they're trying to do, even for the younger kiddos.
That's not what it looks like in the movie The Faculty.
No, that was
quite different.
Quite different. That one Heather's.
A lot of my knowledge about American schools come from that.
So wait, walk me through just so I know, just for context for next time this conversation comes.
Next time I need to talk to you about American schools.
What are the grade levels in UK?
So we have nursery, which is like preschool.
That'd be kindergarten.
Yeah, kindergarten. Kindergarten, whatever that is.
Zero, basically zero.
Yeah, exactly. Then you have the infant school, which is like...
We had preschool, sorry. There's preschool, then there was kindergarten for us, right?
Yeah. So I think...
That's like kindergarten's the
infant school is like when you're like a little older than that. And it's like you have, I think it's 4 years of that. And then secondary school is our version of high school.
Right, because you guys don't have junior high, right?
No, we don't have junior high.
How long is your high school?
High school is 5 years, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a big difference right there.
Yeah.
Because the junior high for us is either 2 or 3 years, right? How long was your junior high?
I'm totally...
Or you're all Catholic school.
I'm broken up because I was kindergarten through 8th grade, 9th through 12th. 6th, 7th, 8th is...
Okay, for me it was 7th, 8th.
I had a weird one where I went to elementary school till 6th grade, and then 7th through 12th, I was in the same school.
Interesting.
See, that
was a public school, too.
See, that would be fucking horrible.
Yeah. In what way?
In just that the divide of ages,
that's
of
true.
the horrible seniors picking on like.
See, here's the thing:
7th graders.
I had a
terrible.
similar experience though to you of like there was not meant much picking, especially when it comes to older people and the 7th graders coming in.
Yeah.
It was mostly like just like that kid has a fucking really big backpack. That was always the big thing of like you see a 7th grader running around and this kid has every fucking textbook in it, and then all the seniors just walking around with nothing, and they're like fucking.
My buddy Clay used to have a big backpack, and my buddy Ty would just go slap it, and he'd fall to the ground.
Ryan nailed it.
I laughed at every time.
What years 1 to 3 is infants, years 4 to 6 is juniors, and then from there you go into secondary school, which is 7 to 12, which is high school.
Okay, it's going to be a different vibe.
Yeah,
because high school is where things get compacted. Here, usually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Barrett just confirmed that high school is still 4 years up in the Bay Area. That's when stuff gets wild. High school is really kind of where I think you have to like kind of watch the kid.
Yeah,
because they're hitting puberty, they're experimenting with a lot of stuff. Junior high,
let them go out and party.
So
it's a great time.
You gotta learn sometime.
I mean, you gotta learn sometime, right? That was I always talk about, to my parents' credit. I had an older brother, and so he's 5 years older than me, and so when I was hitting junior high, he was graduating high school and getting into college and experimenting with all sorts of crazy stuff. Like he would be drinking a lot, and he'd have friends over when my parents would leave. My parents would pretend like they didn't know that was happening, but they were like, for whatever reason, they'd stock everything in the house that we would never have to leave.
Yeah.
And it was very smart of my mom to be like, I'm not stupid. I know you guys are going to do this shit no matter what. Your brother's My brother's 21 years old when I was 16. So it's like, I'm getting beers if I want beers. That's going to happen. There's no way Matt Scarpino is not going to do that for me.
Might as well do it in the safety of the house.
Yeah.
than
Safety of the house.
somewhere else.
And it was
which is
crazy.
what I was doing. I was going out into, Golden Gate Park until 2 a.m. drinking Four Locos before they were recalled and showing up drunk on my mother's birthday in high school.
I mean, Four Locos that was a
Barrett lived.
that was
Barrett lived.
I partied in high school like most people party in college, which is why I think once I got into the college era, I just like chilled the fuck out and I've been like a 50-year-old man ever since.
That was a very similar experience to me because I partied with. First off, I remember partying in junior high with my brother had graduated and there was like teachers that he was friends with that were like, I'm gonna be your teacher, and it was weird. And so like I experienced a lot of young adult relationships when I was in junior high to the point where I was like, this is really cool, but I've done it for 4 years.
Yeah.
So by the time I got into college, I was like, I'm still going to party, but the idea of getting beer before you're 21 right now is not as cool as it used to be to me. People were like, Nick, can you get us beer? I was like, I don't know. We can go to. I used to literally love going to get coffee at night and smoking cigarettes because I was like, this is more what I'm looking for. I don't really want to get too pounded because I want to be able to drive. But yeah, I don't know. That's weird. I didn't realize you guys had that weird breakup of school.
Yeah.
Schooling.
After college.
At what point do you learn the spells?
We don't do that anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've removed all of that from England.
Okay.
Wildly
Perfect.
problematic.
That's all. That's all
Damn,
gone.
this is part of Brexit.
Yeah, we
You
just
lost all your magic.
Just took it all out.
Yeah, Brexit and some other
Some tweeting.
Some tweeting.
Some
we just
key tweets.
we just found a little that the platform 9 3/4 just threw a nuke through it.
Damn.
Perfect.
The other side, who knows what happens?
You know, we don't care.
No one cares.
Fuck the dragons.
Stuck
Oh, that's fun.
This has been fun.
I've enjoyed this.
I have enjoyed this.
Fun
Who
times.
needs Tim? Who needs Andy?
You take Tim out of the situation, all of a sudden it's like, oh, we don't have to talk about Fast and Furious every
Oh my
single day.
god, Vanderpump Rules. Here's the thing: is every time I don't understand it. Like him and Joey just have this pressure release of Tim will stand up and look at her, and she goes, "I can't believe that somebody did whatever." And I'm like, "What the fuck are you people talking about?"
The other day, they were like, Tim. And he goes, Charlie? And she goes, yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about?
It's
Why do you
weird
have this
because
weird language to each other?
Reality TV is now like convoluted and like almost like a gated community in the same way that comic books used to be.
Yeah.
Where it's like now everyone's just like, I don't know. Where do I jump into this?
Yeah.
How do I get into
How
this?
could I possibly catch up on the Vanderpump universe?
I mean, it's the I mean, they're still soap operas, but it is the modern day soap opera, obviously. And I like talking shit, but I'll tell you what, I'm thinking about going back to Below Deck real hard.
Sure.
Wow.
Miss that show. Miss it.
I thought about keeping up with the Kardashians again, but the's two different series. There's too much. I used to be really into it as a kid.
I can't watch the Kardashians now because I'm just so envious of their success.
Yeah.
They're just on such a different stratosphere that it's like, it's not even fantasy fulfillment anymore. It's like, you guys are demigods
Yeah,
at
absolutely.
this point. And I don't know that I can support that anymore. That's bonkers.
The only reality TV I used to watch was Terrace House, and now that's gone.
What is that?
Terrace House is a Japanese one, and it's like take everything you know about reality TV in the Western world and flip it, reverse it. So everything in Western world is like drama and stuff.
Yeah.
In the Japanese side of it, they're just being nice to each other. Everyone's being nice
See,
and everyone's chill.
That's why I still to this day the only reality competition show I watch, The Great British Bake Off.
Yep, everyone's
Because
nice.
everyone loves each other, and no matter who wins, everyone wins. It's
Terrace House is
delightful.
so good though. They're like and the thing about it is like they can go out into their own lives. So it's like they get a bunch of people, men and women, who like are single and are likely to fall in love with each other or at least try it, and then put them in one house and then let them live their lives, and then like they just follow them along. And there's like a panel show also like reacting to it and doing like comedy bits around it. It's really fun, but it ended because of controversy. So there's like three.
They
What
always
was the
do.
controversy? Murder.
Uh-oh.
Oh wow.
Was it
It
really?
was the controversy was there was one in the latest season that
They
came
durst
out.
it?
There was one, huh?
Hey,
No,
Robert,
there was
Durst?
one lady who was on it, and she was a wrestler as well. She was like very open with her emotions and very forthcoming, and like some people would say like she's brash,
Okay.
but like the general public did not appreciate that kind of personality type, and they bullied her like really badly, and that's revealed that there was no mental health kind of support, and sadly, the bullying was to an extreme where she didn't make it. Yeah.
Oh no.
So they like mid-season shut that show off.
Wow.
But she was like a really like up and coming wrestling prospect as well.
Wow.
So it was rough. Yeah.
Well,
Rest of those
thanks.
seasons though,
Cheering
excellent.
Great.
note to end on.
Great show.
You know?
Super excited to watch
Yeah.
it.
Genuinely, the other seasons are like like heartwarming and phenomenal. Like I was in Japan.
Jack's like, oh my goodness.
I was in Japan one time, and like one of the seasons, I was like, I'm gonna go find the person who was on this season, like a little stalker.
Yeah.
I went to like the coffee shop she worked at, just because like she kept working there and like showing off like these really nice coffees. I was like, I want one of those
Yeah.
coffees.
Yeah.
I went there and she was there. I was like,
I was walking in Chelsea.
wait, well, hold on. Did you talk to her?
yeah, I spoke to her. Yeah, I spoke to her in like Japanese and like said I'm a fan and would you be cool to take a picture? And it was like really, she was really nice and like,
That's awesome.
so, yeah,
That's awesome.
lovely.
I saw a Real Housewife from Chelsea one time.
Oh yeah.
My wife freaked out. We were walking. She was like, "That's the person." I was like, "I don't know who this person is," but I freak out anytime. I like to get starstruck.
I was a big, you're talking about Kardashians.
Yeah.
Growing up, I was a big Road Rules and Real World guy. You know what I mean? Back when they were more manageable and there wasn't a million things going on and whatever. And there was I had already started to fall out of it, I guess. But this is a really convoluted thing, and I don't remember what year it was, but one of the Real World people went to Mizzou. And so I saw her in a class, in a building once. I was like, that was really cool. But it wasn't a season I was into anymore, but it was like neat to see that was still there or whatever. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's my reality show crossover, I guess.
Did everyone see Hereditary?
No.
Yeah.
The little girl.
Yeah.
My girlfriend was just walking down the street a day after she watched Hereditary and just saw her. That's creepy as fuck.
That is especially given what happens. To
Oh,
her.
yeah,
I was
that's
like,
Freaky.
I would have just walked up to him and
and just walked away. I'm sure she gets that a
she's
lot.
gonna get that for the rest of her life. Yeah.
yeah, she's probably getting that non-stop.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her in a long time. What is she doing anymore? Is she still doing stuff?
You know what happened.
I know what happened in the movie.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a reality show. That's why I brought it up.
Ah, goddamn it. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the KindaFunny podcast. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather around this table, each coming to horse around with each other. If you want to horse around with us, you can write in for free at kindafunny.com/KF podcast. Of course, you could be watching live on patreon.com/kindafunny, where you could get it ad free. You could watch all the other podcasts we record. You could get dozens of bonus exclusive episodes, and you could just support the beast that is KindaFunny. If you have no bucks tossed our way, it's no big deal. YouTube.com/KindaFunny. And of course, podcast services around the globe. Roger, before we go, Next Gen Podcast is a show you guys do on
Yes.
patreon.com/KindaFunny. It's very good and people should listen to it.
Thank you. Yeah, we're recording our next episode this Friday. So excited to share that with y'all. It's going to be fun.
Tam,
Yes.
one more time, what's going on at GameSpot?
We got a bunch of new shows. I'll keep it short and sweet. One show every day. Go to youtube.com/GameSpot. It's something that I was working super hard on. Lucy's been working super hard on it. A bunch of people have been working super hard on it. We want to just make some cool, interesting content around video games. I'm sure you'll find something to love while you're there. Like, subscribe, all that kind of business. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for coming by today.
Thank you for having me.
Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it's been our pleasure to serve you.